How's it going, guys? As I promised, I'm going to upload a video today on the substrate I use. Today's first tutorial video, one of many to come, is going to be on the substrate. I figured we would do this in steps and we'll start from the ground up. So in this video, I will show you what are the things I use to make my substrate. Media, I use different things. I'll go over each and one of them as best as I can. I'm not a professional. I am no botanist or anything like that. I just do what I want, and luckily I've had success. And now that everyone's asking me for tips and questions in regard, stuff like that, I figured, hey, let's go ahead and help out the next guy, the next girl who wants to start one of these bulgariums. First of all, I want to say thank you to everyone who's been following me, who's been supporting me, who's been liking my channels. I mean, honestly, you guys, I'm very, very humbled by the amount of people that leave comments, that ask questions, that are showing any kind of interest in what I do. Honestly, if it wasn't for you guys, I don't think I'd even be doing these videos or, anything similar to, showing or teaching or anything like that. So if it wasn't for you guys, I wouldn't be doing this and proceeding to the next step, which is, teaching and going over things and talking about my creation. So thank you very much. I do sound a little hoarse just because my kids gave me a cold this past week, so I'm still recovering from the nasal congestion. So if you hear me clear my throat out, I apologize. I don't want to gross you out, but hey, you know what? That's what you get when you have kids. So yeah, let's start talking about substrate and the things I use. So right in front of you guys is a selection that I personally like to use for my bulgariums. That's a funny word to say still. It's a little tongue twister. It's a word that I randomly just made up. So hey, let's just play along with it. Starting on the right side, this is sphagnum moss. Sphagnum moss, I mean, there's really nothing else to talk about. It's just dried up moss. It's been packaged up. It hydrates well. It keeps well humidity. So that's what I like to use on larger plants like my nepenthes. So sphagnum moss is one. The other one I use is peat moss. You can find these bags at your local plant store, nursery, Amazon. I got mine from a local nursery chain store that I have here close to home. So brand new peat moss bag. Very important for the smaller projects, for the Sarracenias, for the Utricularia. Very, very good to use. The key to my terrariums or my bogs is this right here. The Dua jungle soil. Honestly, I can't tell you enough how well this works. A lot of people are probably asking, but that's an aquarium substrate. That's a Planetech substrate. Not really. You could use it for that, or you can use it for terrariums or any kind of enclosed high humidity enclosures. For example, this little Dua. I don't know if you guys can see it well. I have a little Dua jar here with some Utricularia alpina and UG growing in there with some Dua and peat moss combined. So if you guys can get your hands on Dua jungle soil, I highly, highly, highly recommend it. I'm not saying it's the thing that makes my terrariums successful, but it's definitely key. It's very, very key. The soil itself has small, I want to say they're like carbon. I'll try to zoom in as close as I can. I don't know if you guys can see. Where are you guys at? Small pieces of carbon that purifies the water already. So if it sits in water, it's not going to be smelly. It's going to actually make it a lot more cleaner. And I find it that it doesn't have enough nutrients to kill off your plants. I know Sarracenias, Nepenthes, all these carnivorous plants, they say, zero nutrients on the soil, zero nutrients on that. Yes, that's absolutely correct. But if you think about it, if you find Sarracenia, if you find any bogs out there in the wild, there's other vegetation growing along with it. That vegetation requires some sort of nutrients to grow. Because if there was zero nutrients, it'd just be the Sarracenia, just be the pitcher plants growing by themselves. At least that's my train of thought. That's my whole process into this, my thought into it. So there has to be some sort of nutrients that support the other vegetation surrounding the Sarracenias. Now, I'm not saying that's absolutely true. Like I mentioned before, I am not a professional. I didn't study plants. I'm not a biologist. But that's just my experience. All the pictures I've seen on Instagram, online, YouTube's, everywhere you find or people find or do a tour of bogs around their, like their home, there's always some other lush vegetation growing around it. So those plants, I'm guessing they require some sort of nutrients from somewhere. So I use Dua. That's my go-to. I wouldn't recommend any other aquarium substrate because they might have more nutrients than what I'm using right now. So I would just strictly stay with Dua. You can purchase this from an aquarium store, or aquarium specialty store, aquascaping store. My best bet would be go online and search for it. I got a Dua Jungle 3-liter bag, and honestly, it's lasted me for a while now. So yeah, that's the key. That's the thing that I use for my substrate. It's worked very well. It's worked perfectly fine. I haven't had any die off. I haven't had any rot. On the contrary, I have had great results, as you can see with my Instagrams. So if you guys can get your hand on the Dua soil, I would definitely do so. So how do I mix? Pretty simple. This is a 1 gallon bag, Ziploc bag, which basically contains a mixture of Dua and peat moss. How much peat moss? How much Dua? Well, I usually do 2 cups to 5, 2 to 5 ratio. You definitely want to have more peat moss than the Dua. Okay, just keep that in mind. More peat moss than Dua. Once you have that all in here, mix it up, spray it down, mix it up. I already said that, but yeah, you still mix it up. I like to get, one of these water bottle things and just spray it in there. Once you have it nice and wet and saturated with water, just close it down, mix it up. Once you have your mixture should look like this. So let's see, there he goes. So as you can tell, there's some Dua and some peat moss in there, and that would be your perfect substrate. Once you have this, you can go ahead and layer your substrate. You can use as much as you want on your Sarracenias, on your Nepenthes. Even if you're just growing UG, it works. Honestly, I can't emphasize how well this has worked for me. I really can't. That's my go-to substrate. That's what I've been using since the start. And like I said, give it a try. Honestly, just try it out. I am going to throw that out there, though, that if it works for me, it might not work for you, just depending on how dedicated you are to your terrariums, to your bogs. I do maintenance on my bogs on the daily. I water daily, I trim daily, I check on them daily. Misting is important. I would say that's another key. Get yourself one of these little mist bottles. It works wonders. But substrate, yeah, that's my substrate. There's really no huge thing. There's really no huge secret. This is important, but it's not a secret. I've said it before. I've mentioned it in the comments, but that would be your key. that would be your start off. 2 cups to 5. Just remember that. More peat moss than the Duo. And I wouldn't recommend any other aquarium substrate. Just keep that in mind. I wouldn't do it. The sphagnum moss, I know I haven't talked much about it, but it's because I really don't use it with Sarracenias. I use it more for the larger plants, for the Nepenthes, any kind of larger carnivorous plants. And yes, I will go ahead and use that, but I usually just keep that, you know, as a reserve. Besides that, that's all there is really to talk about. I mean, I can't think about anything else. Once you have your substrate down, once you put your first layer, keep it wet. Keep your plants wet. Keep your substrate wet. Don't let it dry out. Water daily, like I said. Use RO water, which RO stands for reverse osmosis. That's very important as well. So if you guys have any questions, please let me know. You can shoot me a DM on my Instagram. You can write me a comment or a question here on YouTube. I'm not very familiar with the YouTube thing right now. I just started uploading again, so please, if my edits are not as great as, you know, some other YouTube channels, please just be patient with me. I mean, I'm a father of 2. I'm a full-time employee as well, so this is basically a hobby. I don't make anything regarding this. This is just something I do for pleasure. Hopefully in the near future, you know, there's some other opportunities where, you know, I can have more time available for this. But of course, my priority right now is, you know, to provide for my family and other means. But sorry, my dogs are playing. But if that, you know, we'll just focus on this for now, you know. But yeah, there'll be more tutorial videos coming out later. Please let me know what other kind of tutorial videos you guys like to see. I think my next one's going to be on lighting. I'm going to save the plans and the setups for later. I'm just going to go ahead and talk about tools, like I would say the tools for the job, like what kind of lighting, what kind of enclosure or tank or jar or whatever you guys can use, okay? And then we'll get into the more technical stuff like the humidity, the plants, you know, the dormancy period. Dormancy period, it's a big one that people have been asking me, but that's going to be more in the future, okay? But for now, I just want to start you from the basics, and the basics was, you know, the substrate. So, yeah, any questions, shoot them up, please. Ask me. I love teaching. I love going over things, so I'm very open. So please just go ahead and if you like the video, if you like the tutorial, please like it, subscribe it, pass it around. The more people I get, you know, I see getting interested in this, the more excited I get, and of course, the more time I want to spend on it. But yeah, definitely thank you everyone again. Thank you for your support. I'm very humbled by the shown of interest in what I do, my creations, and honestly, it's very rewarding seeing that something I create is reaching all these people, you know, like internationally, you know, nationally. So I honestly never imagine I would have been in this situation. So I just want to say thank you so much. Please follow, please like, ask me questions, reach out, and you know, I will definitely do my best to comment back and answer your questions. My name is Lando. Follow me at my Aqua Gardens on Instagram, and I'll see you guys next video.